Hey, it's Scott Braza, and I was just coming here today to show you guys a few techniques I know for survival in a blizzard. So basically, one of the most important things when you're trying to survive a blizzard, of course, is shelter. So I actually decided to help get us prepared for, let's say your plane crashed or you're on vacation and you get stuck out somewhere skiing or whatnot. How would you survive in what I think is probably one of the worst ways to be stuck is in a perfectly flat plane in the middle of a blizzard. So I'm not gonna lie, I had made a video before this. I kind of messed up because I filmed it vertically like that instead of horizontally, but I actually built this shelter in the middle of an actual blizzard over here in Connecticut. It was a few days ago. Anyway, so I'm going to show you guys the finished product, and then I'll explain how to build it. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's like a small igloo. I can't remember the name for it exactly, but it's actually not an igloo because of the way it's built. So this doesn't involve any sort of ice blocks or snow blocks because this was built using powder snow, very powdery, fine snow that doesn't really stick together. So I thought that was one of the worst conditions we could be in, so that's what I prepared for. Nice, powdery snow in the middle of a pretty bad blizzard. And I was actually wearing very minimal gear. I had on a hat, as you saw before, a jacket, 2 t-shirts, jeans, and some waterproof boots, as well as waterproof gloves. I figured that's not something that would be insane to have if you were on vacation or stuck somewhere. So that's all I built this using. Made all by hand, and basically what this is for is to keep you warm, give you shelter, somewhere to rest, and not have to worry about the cold air and predators, for example, depending on where you are. So I didn't finish hollowing it out all the way, but it's quite large, and like I said, I meant this for sleep basically. Like, not a huge, great shelter, but a minimal one that you could build as fast as you can. So most igloos with perfect conditions take around 4 hours to build, and then you need a couple hours for it to harden over time. This took me an hour to build. Probably would have taken me a little bit more time to hollow out, but is already half hollowed, so I wouldn't say more than an extra half an hour of hollowing. So it took me about an hour and a half to build. It's around 3 feet tall, and it's about 6 feet long. And as you can see, it's very rounded over, because this was because I hand packed it, and I'm going to explain how to build it. So what you would do is, and I'll show you guys over here, is probably if you were in a survival situation, you want to find the biggest pile of snow that you could and start there. That way you don't have to do too much packing. So I'm going to bring you guys out into this little turnaround area, and you're just going to pile snow up just like what I'm pointing at right here. Just like that. You're going to pack it around that high. So I'd say like 4 feet high. Mine's only 3 feet, but I was kind of in a time constraint and in the middle of a blizzard. So you're just going to want to get one. Pack it around 4 feet high. I'd say 6 feet or so long, and probably around 4 feet wide. You probably get away with 3 feet. And you're just going to keep packing the snow up. Build a little pile just like that, or find a pile like that and add to it. And try to make it round if you can. Let me go back over here. So as you can see, mine's more like an oval. It's a little dilapidated, but it's been a few days that it's been out here. So you're going to pile it up in a nice circle like that, and you're going to pack it down with your hands at the end. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So the style that I found best for this is you would get your 2 hands, and I can't do that because I got to film. You'd put them overlapped on each other just a little bit, and you're going to push and push up, and grab the snow and push up. and sometimes the snow will start to fall down because it's very powdery. What you would just do, get some more snow, pull it like this, see how it's piling up? Get there, and then push together and up, together and up. And what that's doing is packing down the snow. So as you can see, you know how when I put my hand down, it didn't really imprint? See how my hand's not really making like a huge imprint? That's because I packed this so well that it's basically like ice now. This thin layer on the top that's moving, that's just from snowfall that was earlier today. But my actual igloo, as you can see, is very solid, because I packed it by hand, every inch of it. And you want the snow that's going to fall off. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. What that means is you're packing down the snow, and anything that's not sticking is falling down, and you could just bring that back up with your hand and pack it back on. You're going to want to keep doing that and doing that. It's going to make it thicker and thicker and thicker. And as you can see, you're going to want it decently big, of course, for your body. And then you're going to start hollowing it out. And that's probably the hardest part, because once you're packing it down, it does get pretty tight, especially if you're freezing. I used a knife to help me out. So basically what I did with my knife was I went to the snow, because this used to be all just like buried in and whatever. Went to the snow, my knife, stuck it in, and started cutting it and like kind of like dicing it. And then I just stuck my hand through and started scooping it out. So wherever it gets kind of thick or hard to pull with just your hand, your gloved hand, just get your knife, cut like a grid pattern or an X or a star or something, and then scoop it out. It makes it super easy. And you're going to want your walls at least, I'd say, maybe like 6 to 12 inches thick. So that way you know you're getting insulation, which is extremely important. If you have it any less, you might puncture through when you're carving it out. And also, it's not going to retain your body heat. Okay, so as you saw, it's not an amazingly huge shelter or anything like that. It's basically enough to sleep in and keep you warm for the night. And that's what matters most. Mostly during the day, you're going to be looking for food, if possible, any sort of combustible material for a fire, or help. So that's what I would be doing in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm not going to want to waste 4 hours building my shelter. I want to build it as best as I can, get in there, and figure out what I'm going to do next. So it's around, like I said before, 3 feet tall, 6 feet long, about 4 feet wide. And you're going to want to not hollow out the snow all the way to the ground, because snow is an amazing insulator. That's why we want thick walls when we build it, as thick as possible. So you're going to want around 3 inches plus of packed snow to act as a bed mat. And what that's going to do is keep you off the ground and above the hole of your shelter, which is extremely important. If you're above the hole of your shelter, the hot air will build up around you, push the cold air down and out the front of the shelter, which is great, because then that's going to keep your igloo nice and insulated, no cold air coming in. If possible, you're going to want to build small walls around the side of the front of your shelter, like the igloo entrance is the stereotypical igloo entrance, and that will help funnel the air out, the cold air out, and prevent the cold air from coming back in. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. It's the perfect thing to keep in mind if you're ever stuck in a mountain, or you're skiing and you get stuck out somehow. You're just going to want to get as much snow as you can, pile it 4 feet high, pack it down tight. Okay, you got to make sure it's tight or it can collapse in when you're hollowing it out. So you're going to pack it down tight by hand as much as possible, and just keep adding snow, adding snow, adding snow, because thicker's better. And then hollow it out and just crawl up in there, pack a small bed mat down, sleep on that, and that's going to be the warmest you're going to get. It's going to keep out all the cold air. Yes, of course, snow is a little cold, of course, but it acts as an insulator, so that's really going to be the best shelter that you're ever going to find, especially in a blizzard in itself. It'll keep the snow off you and everything, so that's extremely helpful. So anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. Please like, subscribe, or comment, and please check out my site, www.bladeofchoice.com. We have all kinds of gear. Right now we're working on an archery section. We'll have crossbows, bows, and targets for you guys. We're working on getting tents and other gear. Mostly right now what we have are knives, axes, machetes, and the like. Alright, so thank you very much. Appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll see you around.